Hey, this is Ebi Emenike, aka TBD, making this video from sunny Gibraltar. This could potentially be one of the most important videos I put out for clubs because today I'll be discussing player passports. What is a player passport? So sometimes when I speak to clubs and players and talk to them about player passports, they think I'm referring to the passport that you use to travel from country to country for immigration purposes. No, that's incorrect. In football terms, and in accordance with the FIFA regulations on the status and transfer of players, Article 7, a player passport is a document which lists all the clubs that a player has been registered with since the season of his 12th birthday. Player passports are extremely important when it comes to calculating the financial contribution owed to clubs when a player is transferred from one club to another. I'm talking about things like the training compensation or the solidarity mechanism. I'll discuss those in another video. In the meantime, what's important as a club is that if you were ever involved in the training and development of a player and had him registered at your club anytime after he turned 12, then it's important that you have your details on the player passport. So please bear in mind that FIFA is currently working on a few regulatory changes around player passports. And this is something I'm extremely excited about. It means that FIFA has finally started to listen to my cries. I have been working on solidarity and training compensation calculations and claims for a number of years, and European clubs have been getting away with not paying solidarity and training compensation. The changes that FIFA is currently making is going to help African teams in a huge way, and it's going to bring money back to African football. Now, the changes that they're making are around the way the information is collected and the way the player passport is populated. So you may start to hear the abbreviation EPP, which stands for Electronic Player Passport. Watch this space. So where does the player passport come from, you may ask? The answer is speak to your football association and find out what processes they have in place in order to collect and collate information based on FIFA's new electronic player passport system. However, I'm going to talk you through FIFA's plans on collecting information from the member associations. That's your football association. So FIFA will collect information from the member association. It's your responsibility as a club to communicate with your member association to make sure that the information they have about you and the players that you have developed are correct. Now, this new process is open and it's transparent, and it allows for the interrogation of the player passport information before it becomes final and binding, and it's generated for use, for years to come. And like I said, it's something I'm extremely excited about. How will the information contained in a player passport be generated? This is where you need to pay close attention. There'll be 3 types of transfers which will trigger the possibility to generate information for the player passport. The first one would be an international transfer. In simple terms, this is where a player is transferred from one member association to another, or one country to another country. An example is when Victor Osimhen was transferred from a club in France to a club in Italy, Napoli. The second trigger will be a domestic transfer with an international dimension. So this is where a foreign player is transferred within the same domestic league. So an example is when Simi Nwankwo, who is a Nigerian player, was transferred from one Italian club to another Italian club. And that was when he was transferred from Salernitana to Parma. The final trigger is when the player signs his first professional contract. So whenever a player is involved in any one of those transfers that I mentioned, a message is sent to all the member associations in the world, which currently stands at about 211. The message is basically saying, I would like to know whether any of your clubs, your affiliated clubs, were involved in the development of this particular player, and if so, can I have the information? This information, once collected, becomes the provisional electronic player passport, which is the provisional EPP. Provisional because it means it's still open to interrogation and amendment if some of the information is disputed. If there's a dispute, your member association will take the time to try and come to a resolution before the final player passport is generated and becomes binding. So my advice to clubs is, if you were ever involved in the training and development of a player since he turned 12 and you had him registered at your club, that you ensure you are listed in the player passport, in that player's player passport. If you are not, then you need to gather all the evidence that you possibly can in order to prove that you had the player registered and you developed him at your club. You need to provide things like registration cards and contracts. Bringing photographs is not enough. Bringing photographs only proves that you're able to get the player to take a picture with you, but you need to provide things, like I said, registration cards, a contract, maybe even receipts if you sent him to school and spent any money educating him in that way. You can provide things like that as well. Also, keep an eye out for transfer news on any players that you were involved with. So my advice to players, or my plea to players, is please work with your clubs and your member associations in order to corroborate any information or to provide any evidence that may be required in putting these player passports together. Sometimes your member association might actually ask you for an affidavit, which is a written statement that can be used in court. I believe you have a moral duty, if nothing else, to help provide the information for the player passport, because some of these club owners use their last kobo, their last peswa, to assist you and to get you to where you are now. And I know many of you will be saying it's God, and I don't dispute that. It is God, but somebody allowed themselves to be used by God to help you. So it's your turn to allow God to use you to help them, to also help somebody else, because just this little thing that you do will help in bringing money back to those clubs so that they can use that money to develop more players like you and give more young people an opportunity. As I've come to the end of the video, I hope you've enjoyed it, but most importantly, I hope that you found it extremely useful. Bringing money back onto the African continent is extremely important if we would like to work together to improve the quality of our football. We have a lot of talent, a lot of rough diamonds on the African continent, and bringing this money back would help to give others an opportunity. If you want to discuss anything that I have talked about in this video, always remember that you can contact me via info@tbdmanagement.com, or you can connect with me on social media. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to share this video. Thank you. Take care.